Chapter 1. Dreams and Desires. David and Emma had always been considered the golden couple of Maplewood, a small, idyllic village nestled in the heart of the Midwest. The village, with its tree-lined streets, quaint houses, and a church steeple that could be seen from nearly every corner, was a place where everyone knew everyone else. It was a community bound together by shared values, strong faith, and a collective spirit that thrived in the simplicity of rural life. David, at 28, was the village's steadfast protector. A dedicated police officer, he was known for his unwavering commitment to justice and his compassionate heart. Tall and broad-shouldered, with a warm smile that could put anyone at ease, David had a natural ability to connect with people. His job, though often challenging, brought him immense satisfaction. He believed deeply in the importance of his role, not just as a law enforcer, but as a pillar of the community. Emma, 2 years younger, was the epitome of grace and kindness. She worked in the local general store, a charming shop that served as the heart of the village's social life. With her bright blue eyes and a laugh that seemed to brighten the entire store, Emma had a way of making everyone feel welcome. Her gentle nature and genuine interest in others endeared her to the villagers, who often stopped by just to chat with her, even if they didn't need to buy anything. The couple's love story was one of those tales that everyone in Maplewood cherished. They had met in high school and quickly become inseparable. Their relationship, built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared values, had grown stronger with each passing year. They had married in the village church, surrounded by family, friends, and neighbors who had watched their love blossom. From the moment they said their vows, David and Emma had dreamed of starting a family. They envisioned a home filled with the sounds of children's laughter, a house brimming with love and warmth. Their excitement and hope for the future were palpable, and they often spoke about their dreams in hushed, reverent tones, as if saying them aloud would bring them to life. On Sunday mornings, they would sit in their usual pew at the front of the church, hands clasped together, eyes closed in prayer. Their faith was a cornerstone of their lives, a source of strength and guidance. The sermons often spoke of the blessings of family and the joys of raising children, themes that resonated deeply with them. They believed that their prayers would be answered and that they would soon welcome a child into their loving home. Their small house, situated on a quiet street lined with maple trees, was a testament to their shared dreams. The nursery, painted a soft yellow, was ready and waiting, filled with carefully chosen furniture and toys. Emma had sewn curtains with a playful pattern of animals and had knitted tiny blankets, each stitch filled with love and anticipation. David had built a sturdy crib and a rocking chair, imagining the nights they would spend soothing their baby to sleep. In the evenings, they would sit on their porch, watching the sun set over the fields, talking about their future. They discussed names, imagined first steps, and planned family picnics by the river. These conversations were filled with laughter and love, a testament to their unwavering hope and faith in the life they were building together. The community, too, shared in their anticipation. Neighbors often dropped by with small gifts for the future baby, and the women at the church had already started planning a baby shower. Maplewood was a place where everyone celebrated each other's joys and supported each other through challenges, and David and Emma were at the heart of this tight-knit network. Despite their busy lives, David and Emma made sure to carve out time for each other. They went for walks in the countryside, attended community events, and spent quiet evenings reading or listening to music. These moments of connection were precious, reinforcing the bond they shared and the love that formed the foundation of their dreams. Their faith in God and their belief in each other gave them the strength to face the future with optimism. They were convinced that, in time, their prayers would be answered and their home would be blessed with the pitter-patter of tiny feet. As they navigated the ups and downs of life, they remained steadfast in their hope, their dreams interwoven with the love and faith that defined their lives. In Maplewood, where the rhythms of life were dictated by the seasons and the community's shared values, David and Emma's journey was a beacon of hope and love. Their story was a testament to the power of dreams, the strength of faith, and the beauty of a life built on love and mutual respect. As they looked towards the future, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their hearts united by the dream of the family they longed to create. Chapter 2. The Struggle Begins. The first year of marriage was a blissful time for David and Emma. Every moment seemed imbued with the promise of their future together, and they embraced their new life with enthusiasm and joy. Yet, as months turned into a year, and Emma still wasn't pregnant, a shadow began to creep into their sunny world. Initially, they brushed off their concerns. "It'll happen when the time is right," David would say, holding Emma close. They both believed in the natural timing of things, trusting that their prayers would be answered in due course. However, as the months rolled on, their hope began to waver, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Emma felt the pressure more acutely than David. In the close-knit, deeply religious community of Maplewood, family was everything. Every Sunday, as they sat in church, she couldn't help but notice the other young mothers with their babies, the children's laughter mingling with the hymns. Conversations with friends and neighbors often turned to the topic of children, and each innocent question about when they might start a family felt like a tiny pinprick to her heart. David, ever the supportive husband, did his best to reassure Emma. "We'll keep trying," he said, his voice steady even when his own doubts began to surface. But as time passed, the strain began to show. Emma's usual brightness dimmed, her laughter less frequent. She became more reserved, her interactions with customers at the shop tinged with a sadness she couldn't hide. The turning point came one late summer evening. Emma had just returned from visiting her sister, who had recently given birth to a healthy baby boy. As she held her newborn nephew, a wave of longing and sorrow washed over her. By the time she got home, the weight of her unfulfilled dreams felt unbearable. She collapsed into David's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "We need to see a doctor," she whispered between tears. "Something's not right." David agreed, and they made an appointment with the town's physician, Dr. Peterson. The elderly doctor was a kind man, his gentle manner a source of comfort. After conducting a series of preliminary tests, he referred them to a specialist in the nearest city. The visits to the fertility clinic marked the beginning of a new, challenging chapter in their lives. The sterile environment, the barrage of tests and procedures, the medical jargon, it all felt overwhelming. Emma underwent numerous tests, each one more invasive and exhausting than the last. David, too, was tested, the couple enduring every indignity in their desperate quest for answers. The diagnosis was a blow. Emma's condition, though not entirely understood, made natural conception unlikely. The news hit them like a freight train, shattering the last vestiges of their naive optimism. Dr. Williams, the fertility specialist, outlined their options, none of which offered guarantees. "We can try fertility treatments," he said, his tone compassionate yet clinical. "It's a difficult process, but many couples have had success." The drive home was silent, the air thick with unspoken fears. When they finally pulled into their driveway, David turned to Emma, his eyes filled with determination. "We'll do whatever it takes," he said firmly. Emma nodded, wiping away tears, but inside she felt a gnawing doubt. The treatments began shortly after. Hormone injections, invasive procedures, and endless visits to the clinic became their new reality. Each step was fraught with emotional and physical tolls. Emma's body bore the brunt of the treatments, pain, discomfort, and a roller coaster of emotions that left her feeling drained and defeated. David, though spared the physical agony, suffered emotionally, watching the woman he loved endure so much. Their relationship, once a source of unwavering support, began to fray under the strain. Small disagreements escalated into arguments, their patience with each other wearing thin. David buried himself in his work, finding solace in the routine and the sense of purpose it provided. Emma, on the other hand, withdrew further, her isolation deepening. The community, ever observant, began to notice the changes. Whispers of concern and speculation swirled around them. Friends offered well-meaning advice, and church members prayed fervently for their plight. But the pressure only added to their burden. Every well-intentioned comment felt like a reminder of their failure, a confirmation of their deepest fears. In the quiet moments, when the house was still and the weight of their struggles felt unbearable, David and Emma found themselves turning to their faith for solace. They prayed together, seeking comfort in the belief that God had a plan for them, even if they couldn't yet see it. Their faith, though tested, remained a beacon of hope in their darkest hours. Despite the setbacks and the seemingly endless cycle of hope and disappointment, they persevered. They clung to each other, their love a fragile but vital lifeline. The journey was far from over, and the path ahead was uncertain, but they were determined to face it together, holding on to the dream that had brought them this far. As the seasons changed and another year slipped by, David and Emma found themselves standing at the crossroads of their journey. The struggle had only just begun, but amidst the trials their bond grew stronger. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united in their love and fortified by their faith. Chapter 3. Shadows of Doubt. Months had turned into years, and the once bright and hopeful dreams of David and Emma had begun to fade into the harsh reality of their struggles. The initial excitement of starting a family had long since given way to a painful routine of disappointment and heartache. Every failed attempt, every negative test, felt like a wound that cut deeper and deeper into their spirits. The fertility treatments, once a beacon of hope, had become a source of dread. The regimen of hormone injections, invasive procedures, and constant doctor visits had taken its toll on Emma's body and mind. The physical pain was bearable, but the emotional toll was crushing. Each cycle of hope and despair left her feeling more defeated than the last. David watched helplessly as the woman he loved became a shadow of her former self. Emma's once vibrant personality had dulled. Her laughter, which used to fill their home, was now a rare and fleeting sound. She moved through her days with a quiet resignation, her eyes always tinged with sadness. She struggled to find joy in the things she once loved, and her interactions with the villagers became increasingly strained. The village of Maplewood, with its close-knit and deeply religious community, was both a source of support and a constant reminder of their struggle. Every Sunday, as they sat in church, surrounded by families with children, Emma felt a pang of inadequacy. The well-meaning but often intrusive questions from friends and neighbors about when they might start a family only added to her sense of failure. David, ever the protector, tried to shield Emma from the prying eyes and insensitive remarks, but he could not protect her from the turmoil within. His own feelings of helplessness and frustration began to build. He found solace in his work, throwing himself into his duties as a police officer with renewed vigor. The village, unaware of the depth of his personal struggles, saw only a dedicated and reliable officer. The strain on their relationship was palpable. Small disagreements, which once would have been easily resolved, now escalated into full-blown arguments. Emma's isolation and David's absence created a growing rift between them. They were two people, deeply in love, yet drifting apart under the weight of their unfulfilled dreams. Emma's withdrawal became more pronounced. She stopped attending social gatherings, finding it too painful to be surrounded by reminders of what she longed for but could not have. She spent her days at the shop in a mechanical routine, her interactions with customers polite but distant. Her nights were often sleepless, plagued by thoughts of inadequacy and fear that she would never become a mother. One evening, after another failed treatment, Emma sat alone in the nursery, the room that was supposed to be filled with their child's laughter. She looked around at the carefully chosen furniture, the handmade toys, and the tiny blankets she had lovingly knitted. The silence was deafening. She felt a deep sense of loss for a child she had never met. David found her there, sitting in the rocking chair he had built, tears streaming down her face. He knelt beside her, his own heart breaking at the sight of her pain. "We'll find a way through this," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. But even as he said the words, he felt the weight of doubt pressing down on him. Their coping mechanisms were driving them further apart. David's long hours at work, though a necessary distraction for him, left Emma feeling abandoned. She needed him more than ever, but his absence only deepened her sense of loneliness. She began to question if they would ever find their way back to each other, if the love that had once been their strength could withstand the strain. David's coping mechanism of immersing himself in his work brought its own set of challenges. He took on more shifts, volunteered for additional responsibilities, and became a fixture in the community's safety and well-being. His dedication did not go unnoticed, but it came at a cost. The stress and emotional toll of his job, combined with the unresolved tension at home, began to wear him down. Despite his best efforts, David could not escape the shadow of doubt that loomed over their lives. He often found himself driving through the quiet streets of Maplewood, lost in thought. The village he had always seen as a place of peace and community now felt like a constant reminder of their failures. He questioned his own role in their struggle, wondering if there was more he could do, or if he was somehow at fault. Their faith, once a source of unwavering strength, was now tested in ways they had never imagined. They continued to pray together, seeking comfort in their belief that God had a plan for them, but the answers they longed for remained elusive. Their prayers seemed to echo in the silence, unanswered and unacknowledged. As the seasons changed, so did their approach to their situation. Emma, determined to find a way to cope with her feelings of inadequacy, began to seek solace in the one place that had always brought her peace: her garden. She spent hours tending to the flowers and vegetables, finding a sense of purpose in nurturing the plants. It was a small comfort, but it gave her a reason to get out of bed each day. David, too, sought new ways to manage his stress. He began to confide in his closest friend, Tom, the village pastor. Tom's quiet wisdom and unwavering faith provided David with a sounding board for his fears and doubts. Their conversations, often held in the quiet sanctuary of the church, helped David find a measure of peace and perspective. Despite their individual efforts, the path forward remained uncertain. The shadows of doubt continued to cast a pall over their lives, but amidst the darkness there were moments of light. Small gestures of love and support, a shared smile, a quiet evening together. These were the threads that held them together, even as they struggled to find their way. The journey was far from over, and the challenges they faced were daunting. But David and Emma, united by their love and their faith, continued to persevere. They held on to the hope that, in time, they would find a way to overcome the shadows of doubt and build the family they so desperately longed for. Chapter 4: Support and Sacrifice. In the small village of Maplewood, life was deeply interconnected. Family, friends, and neighbors were not just casual acquaintances, but an extended network of support, love, and sometimes pressure. As David and Emma navigated the difficult path of infertility, these relationships became both a lifeline and a source of additional strain. One of their strongest pillars of support was Emma's mother, Margaret. A widow who had raised Emma and her sister single-handedly, Margaret was a woman of unwavering faith and quiet strength. She lived just a few houses down from David and Emma, and her presence in their lives was a constant source of comfort. Margaret often visited Emma at the shop, bringing homemade treats and words of encouragement. "God has a plan for you, my dear," she would say, her eyes filled with conviction. "You must trust in his timing." While Margaret's faith was reassuring, it also added an unspoken pressure. Emma felt a deep need to fulfill her mother's expectations and longed to give her a grandchild. Margaret, sensing Emma's inner turmoil, tried to ease her burden with practical support. She would help with household chores, cook meals, and offer to pray with Emma. But the weight of unfulfilled dreams lingered. David's closest confidant was Tom, the village pastor. Tom had been a friend since childhood, and their bond had only strengthened over the years. David found solace in Tom's quiet wisdom and unshakable faith. They often met in the evenings, sitting in the church's small office, talking late into the night. "Faith isn't about having all the answers, David," Tom would remind him. "It's about trusting that God knows the path, even when we can't see it." Tom's support was invaluable, but it also highlighted David's struggles with his faith. The more Tom reassured him, the more David felt the weight of his own doubts. He began to question why their prayers remained unanswered and whether he was failing in his role as a husband and protector. The church community, ever present in their lives, was another source of both support and pressure. Every Sunday, they were enveloped by the love and concern of their fellow villagers. Mrs. Thompson, an elderly lady who had known David since he was a boy, would often take Emma's hand after service, her eyes filled with empathy. "We're all praying for you, dear," she would say. "God has a plan, and we're here for you." The village women organized prayer circles, and the church held special services to pray for David and Emma. While these gestures were meant to offer comfort, they also served as constant reminders of their struggle. The well-meaning inquiries and advice, though given with love, sometimes felt like additional burdens to bear. Among their friends, one couple stood out as particularly supportive, Jane and Mark. Jane had been Emma's best friend since they were children, and Mark was David's partner on the police force. Jane and Mark had 2 young children, and while their lives were busy, they always made time for David and Emma. Jane, with her bubbly personality and infectious optimism, often tried to lift Emma's spirits. "We'll get through this together," she would say, organizing outings and small gatherings to distract Emma from her worries. Mark, more reserved but equally caring, offered David a quiet camaraderie, understanding his need for both distraction and support. However, even these close friendships were not without their challenges. Spending time with Jane and Mark's children was bittersweet for David and Emma. The joy they felt in being around the children was often overshadowed by a deep sense of longing and sadness. They cherished these moments, but also found them painful reminders of what they were missing. As the months turned into years, the sacrifices David and Emma made in their quest for a child became more pronounced. Financially, the cost of fertility treatments was a heavy burden. They had to dip into their savings, forgo vacations, and cut back on other expenses. Emotionally, the toll was even greater. The constant cycle of hope and disappointment wore them down, leaving them both physically and mentally exhausted. Emma's health began to suffer from the relentless treatments. She experienced side effects from the medications, and the emotional roller coaster took a visible toll on her well-being. Despite this, she persevered, driven by the hope of one day holding her own child. David, too, felt the strain, balancing long hours at work with the need to be there for Emma. In their darkest moments, when the burden seemed too great to bear, it was their faith and the support of their loved ones that kept them going. Margaret's unwavering belief, Tom's gentle guidance, and the love of their friends provided the strength they needed to continue. The village of Maplewood, with its close-knit community and shared values, offered a sense of belonging and purpose. Yet, the pressure to conform to the community's expectations also weighed heavily on them. The ideal of a perfect family, deeply ingrained in the village's culture, made their struggle feel even more acute. They felt a constant need to explain their situation, to justify their pain, and to maintain a facade of strength. As David and Emma navigated this complex web of support and sacrifice, they began to realize that their journey was about more than just having a child. It was about finding resilience in the face of adversity, leaning on their faith, and learning to draw strength from each other and their community. They discovered that true support came not just from shared joy, but from shared sorrow and the willingness to carry each other's burdens. In the heart of Maplewood, amidst the challenges and sacrifices, David and Emma found moments of grace and love that sustained them. Their story was one of enduring hope, a testament to the power of community and the strength of the human spirit. As they continued their journey, they knew that they were not alone, and that together they could face whatever lay ahead. Chapter 5. Emma's Journey. Emma woke up early each morning, the first light of dawn creeping through the curtains of their bedroom. The house was quiet, the only sounds being the occasional creak of the old floorboards and the distant chirping of birds outside. It was in these still moments that Emma felt the weight of her inadequacy most acutely. Despite all the love and support from David and the community, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was somehow incomplete, unable to fulfill the one role she had always dreamed of, being a mother. The fertility treatments had not only taken a toll on her body, but also on her spirit. Emma found herself questioning her worth and her place in the world. She felt lost, adrift in a sea of unfulfilled dreams. However, in the depths of her despair, she knew she had to find a way to reclaim her sense of self and purpose. One Sunday after church, while she was helping tidy up, Mrs. Thompson approached her. The elderly woman had a way of seeing through the surface to the heart of things. "Emma, dear," she said gently, "why don't you join our women's group? We could use your kindness and creativity." The women's group, which met every Wednesday evening in the church basement, focused on various community service projects. They made quilts for the homeless, organized food drives, and visited the sick and elderly. Emma hesitated at first, unsure if she had the energy or enthusiasm to contribute, but Mrs. Thompson's gentle encouragement gave her the push she needed. That first meeting was both intimidating and comforting. The women welcomed her warmly, their chatter and laughter filling the room with a sense of camaraderie. They immediately put her to work, stitching quilts and packing food baskets. Emma found solace in the repetitive, meditative tasks, and slowly she began to feel a sense of belonging. As the weeks passed, Emma became more involved in the group's activities. She discovered a particular passion for visiting the elderly at the local nursing home. The residents, often lonely and forgotten, welcomed her visits with open arms. Emma found joy in listening to their stories, holding their hands, and bringing a bit of sunshine into their lives. These visits became a source of fulfillment, giving her a new sense of purpose. Emma also reconnected with an old passion, painting. As a child, she had spent hours with a paintbrush in hand, creating vibrant landscapes and delicate portraits. Life had taken her away from this hobby, but now, in her search for meaning, she found herself drawn back to it. She set up a small easel in the corner of the living room and began to paint again. Her paintings reflected her journey fields of wildflowers symbolizing hope, stormy skies representing her struggles, and serene sunsets capturing moments of peace. Her art became a form of therapy, a way to express the emotions she found difficult to articulate. David, ever supportive, encouraged her to continue. He marveled at her talent and often found himself lost in the beauty of her work. "You have a gift, Emma," he told her one evening, as they stood in front of a newly finished painting. "You bring so much beauty into the world." Through her involvement with the women's group and her return to painting, Emma began to rediscover herself. She realized that her worth was not defined by her ability to have children, but by the love and kindness she brought into the world. Her contributions to the community, her friendships, and her art were all expressions of who she was. One particular day stood out in her journey. The women's group had organized a summer fair to raise funds for the local orphanage. Emma, with her newfound passion for painting, had donated several pieces to be auctioned off. The fair was bustling with activity, the air filled with the sounds of laughter and music. Emma walked among the stalls, greeting neighbors and friends, feeling a sense of connection she hadn't felt in years. As the auction began, she stood nervously at the back of the crowd. Her paintings were well received, fetching higher prices than she had ever imagined. The support from her community was overwhelming, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt truly proud of herself. She realized that she was capable of making a difference, of bringing joy to others, even if it wasn't in the way she had originally envisioned. Emma's journey of self-discovery also led her to a deeper understanding of her faith. She began to see God's hand in her life in new and unexpected ways. She found comfort in the belief that her struggles had a purpose, that they were shaping her into a stronger, more compassionate person. Her prayers became less about asking for a child, and more about seeking strength, wisdom, and the ability to accept whatever path lay ahead. One evening, as she sat in the garden she had lovingly tended, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. The flowers she had planted were in full bloom, a riot of colours that seemed to mirror her own journey. She thought about the elderly residents she visited, the paintings she had created, and the friends she had made in the women's group. She realized that her life was full of blessings, even if they weren't the ones she had initially sought. David joined her in the garden, sitting beside her on the wooden bench. He took her hand, and they sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset. "I'm so proud of you, Emma," he said softly. "You found a way to bring so much light into the world, even through the darkest times." Emma squeezed his hand, feeling the truth of his words. She knew their journey was far from over, and that there would be more challenges ahead. But she also knew that she was not defined by her struggles. She was a loving wife, a cherished daughter, a talented artist, and a compassionate friend. She was enough, just as she was. As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. Her journey had led her to a place of acceptance and understanding, a place where she could find joy in the present moment and trust in the future. She leaned into David, grateful for his unwavering support, and together they looked forward to whatever the next chapter of their lives might bring. Chapter 6. David's Duty. David's days as a police officer in Maplewood were filled with the quiet, steady rhythms of village life, punctuated by the occasional burst of urgency. His role as the town's protector was one he took seriously, balancing the trust and reliance of the villagers with the ever-present challenges of his work. As Emma navigated her personal journey, David found himself deeply entrenched in his own struggle to maintain balance and purpose. The village of Maplewood, with its tree-lined streets and picturesque homes, was a place where crime was rare, but not absent. David's duties ranged from the mundane helping lost children find their parents, mediating neighborly disputes, and ensuring the general safety of the village, to the more serious incidents that occasionally disrupted their peace. Each day, he donned his uniform with a sense of pride and responsibility, his badge a symbol of his commitment to the community. One crisp autumn morning, David received a call that would challenge him in unexpected ways. The call came from Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly widow who lived alone on the outskirts of the village. She reported hearing strange noises at night and seeing unfamiliar figures lurking around her property. Concerned for her safety, David promised to investigate. As he arrived at Mrs. Jenkins' house, he was greeted by her anxious face peering through the lace curtains. "Thank you for coming, officer," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been so frightened," David reassured her, inspecting the perimeter of her property. He found evidence of disturbed soil and footprints leading to the woods. This case, seemingly straightforward, began to reveal layers of complexity. As he delved deeper, David discovered that Mrs. Jenkins had been receiving threatening letters, hinting at a dispute over her land. The case required not just his skills as a law enforcer, but also his empathy and understanding. Balancing this investigation with his personal life was a delicate act. David often found himself torn between his duty to protect the village and his desire to support Emma through her struggles. He worked long hours, often returning home late, his mind heavy with the weight of his responsibilities. The stress began to take its toll, and he struggled to find the equilibrium he so desperately needed. The case with Mrs. Jenkins mirrored his personal life in many ways. Just as he sought to uncover the truth behind the threats against her, he also sought answers to the struggles he and Emma faced. Both journeys were fraught with uncertainty, requiring patience, determination, and faith. The villagers looked to David as a moral and protective figure, and he felt the pressure to live up to their expectations. During one of his late-night patrols, David stopped by the church to speak with Tom. The quiet sanctuary, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, provided a much-needed respite. Tom listened as David shared his concerns, both about the case and his personal life. "Sometimes the path we walk is unclear, and the weight of our duties feels overwhelming," Tom said, his voice gentle and reassuring. "But remember, David, you are not alone. You have the strength of your faith, your community, and your family to support you." These words resonated deeply with David. He realized that his strength came not just from his role as a protector, but from the connections he had forged with the people around him. He was not an island. He was part of a larger whole, bound together by trust, love, and shared values. As the investigation progressed, David uncovered more about the threats to Mrs. Jenkins. The letters were traced back to a distant relative who had felt wronged by her inheritance of the family land. Confronting the perpetrator, David balanced firmness with compassion, understanding the complex emotions at play. The resolution of the case brought relief to Mrs. Jenkins and a sense of accomplishment to David. This significant case paralleled David's own journey with Emma. Just as he had navigated the intricacies of the investigation, he also began to find new ways to support his wife. He made a conscious effort to be present, not just physically, but emotionally. He set aside time to listen, to share in her joys and sorrows, and to remind her of his unwavering love and commitment. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, David returned home to find Emma working on a new painting. He watched her from the doorway, marveling at her resilience and creativity. He realized that their journey, though difficult, was also a testament to their strength and their ability to adapt and grow together. David's renewed dedication to balancing his duties became evident not just at home, but also in his work. The villagers noticed a change, a deeper sense of presence and connection. He continued to serve as their protector, but with a newfound understanding of the importance of community and mutual support. The case with Mrs. Jenkins eventually concluded, but the lessons David learned remained. He understood that his role as a police officer was not just about enforcing the law, but about embodying the values of empathy, integrity, and compassion. His duty extended beyond the badge. It was a commitment to the people he served and loved. As the seasons changed and winter approached, David felt a sense of peace settle over him. He knew that challenges would continue to arise, both in his work and in his personal life, but he also knew that he had the strength to face them. With Emma by his side and the support of his community, he felt ready to embrace whatever the future held. In the heart of Maplewood, David's journey as a police officer and a husband intertwined, each role enriching the other. His life, marked by duty and love, became a testament to the enduring power of faith and resilience. Together with Emma, he looked forward to the next chapter of their lives, united in their hope and determination to overcome any obstacles that lay ahead. Chapter 7. A Ray of Hope. The winter months in Maplewood brought a quiet stillness to the village. Snow blanketed the ground, muffling the sounds and creating a serene landscape. For David and Emma, the season also brought a renewed sense of hope and possibility. After years of struggle and heartache, a new path to parenthood began to emerge, offering them a glimmer of light in their darkest times. It all began during a routine visit to Dr. Williams, their fertility specialist. Emma had become accustomed to these visits, the familiar antiseptic smell of the clinic, and the clinical conversations that often ended in disappointment. But this time, there was a different atmosphere in the air. Dr. Williams greeted them with a warm smile, a hint of excitement in his eyes. "David, Emma," he began, "I have some promising news. We've been exploring new treatment options, and I believe there's a potential breakthrough that could increase your chances of conceiving." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She glanced at David, who squeezed her hand, his eyes reflecting a cautious optimism. Dr. Williams explained the new treatment in detail, a combination of advanced hormonal therapy and a less invasive procedure that had shown remarkable results in similar cases. "It won't be easy," Dr. Williams cautioned. "There are no guarantees, but it's the most hopeful option we've had so far." The couple left the clinic with a renewed sense of purpose. For the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to feel hopeful. They prayed together that night, thanking God for this new opportunity and seeking the strength to face whatever lay ahead. As they embarked on the new treatment regimen, their community rallied around them. Margaret, Emma's mother, offered to accompany her to appointments when David couldn't. Jane and Mark organized a prayer circle, gathering friends and neighbors to pray for their success. The support was overwhelming and deeply touching, a testament to the strong bonds of their village. The treatment process was intense. Emma endured the hormonal therapy with a resilience born of years of struggle. The side effects were challenging, but she faced them with a determined spirit. David was by her side every step of the way, offering comfort and encouragement. They both knew that this was their best chance, and they were willing to give it everything they had. Despite their cautious optimism, the fear of failure lingered. Each day was a delicate balance of hope and anxiety. But as the weeks passed, Emma began to feel a change. The doctors monitored her progress closely, and with each positive report, their hope grew stronger. In the midst of their treatment, another possibility emerged. During one of their visits to the clinic, they met a social worker named Grace, who specialized in adoption. Grace had a gentle demeanor and a genuine passion for helping families. She saw the longing in Emma's eyes and the determination in David's, and she approached them with a proposition. "Have you ever considered adoption?" Grace asked, her voice kind and understanding. "There are many children who need loving homes, and I believe you would make wonderful parents." The idea of adoption had crossed their minds before, but they had always focused on having a biological child. Now, with Grace's encouragement, they began to explore this alternative path more seriously. They attended informational meetings, met with other adoptive parents, and began to see adoption not as a last resort, but as a beautiful and viable option. David and Emma found themselves torn between the two paths, continuing with the fertility treatments that were showing promise, and pursuing adoption, which offered its own unique blessings. After much prayer and discussion, they decided to keep both options open, trusting that God would guide them to the right decision. As they navigated this new chapter, their faith remained a cornerstone of their journey. They found comfort in their church, drawing strength from the sermons and the unwavering support of their community. Tom, the pastor, often spoke of the power of hope and the importance of trusting in God's plan, messages that resonated deeply with them. In preparation for their new beginning, David and Emma made several changes in their lives. They redecorated the nursery, adding new touches that reflected their cautious optimism. They also began to gather the necessary paperwork for the adoption process, taking each step with careful consideration. The village of Maplewood continued to offer its unwavering support. Mrs. Thompson organized a community fundraiser to help with the costs of both the treatment and the adoption process. The women's group, which Emma had become an integral part of, hosted a special evening of prayer and fellowship in their honor. The collective effort of their friends and neighbors was a powerful reminder of the love and support that surrounded them. As the months passed, the new treatment began to show positive results. Emma's body responded well, and for the first time, they dared to believe that they might actually conceive. At the same time, their adoption application moved forward, and they were approved to adopt a child. The possibility of becoming parents, whether through birth or adoption, filled their hearts with joy. One spring morning, Emma received a call from Grace with news that would change their lives forever. "David and Emma, we have a little boy who needs a home," Grace said, her voice filled with emotion. "He's 2 years old, and he's been through a lot, but I think he would thrive with you." Tears filled Emma's eyes as she relayed the news to David. They both felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and purpose. This was the child they had prayed for, the one who would fill their home with laughter and love. The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation and anticipation. They met Lucas, a bright-eyed toddler with a shy smile, and their hearts immediately bonded with him. The adoption process was finalized quickly, and they brought him home to Maplewood, where the community welcomed him with open arms. As they settled into their new life as parents, another miracle unfolded. Emma discovered she was pregnant. The news, confirmed by Dr. Williams, was nothing short of miraculous. They had hoped for one child, and now they were blessed with 2. The journey that had begun with so much uncertainty had led them to a place of unimaginable joy. Their faith and the unwavering support of their community had carried them through the darkest times, leading them to a future filled with hope and promise. In the heart of Maplewood, David, Emma, Lucas, and their soon-to-be-born baby found a home where love and faith reigned supreme. Their story, marked by trials and miracles, became a testament to the power of hope, resilience, and the enduring strength of community. Chapter 8. Trials and Tribulations. The arrival of Lucas brought a renewed sense of joy and purpose to David and Emma's lives. His laughter filled their home, and his innocent curiosity breathed new life into their daily routines. However, just as they were beginning to settle into their roles as parents, new challenges emerged, testing their resolve and their faith. Emma's pregnancy, initially a source of immense joy, began to show signs of complications. In her second trimester, she started experiencing severe pain and bleeding. Dr. Williams, their fertility specialist, conducted a series of tests and delivered the difficult news. "There's a risk of preterm labor," he explained gently. "We need to monitor you closely, and you'll need to take it very easy, Emma. This means bed rest and regular checkups to ensure both you and the baby remain safe." The news was devastating. Emma had to quit her involvement with the women's group and reduce her activities around the house. Bed rest confined her to a limited space, and the days grew long and isolating. David, already stretched thin with his duties as a police officer and caring for Lucas, now faced the additional worry of Emma's fragile condition. Lucas, too young to fully understand, sensed the tension and changes around him. He became more clingy and anxious, his usual cheerful demeanor clouded by uncertainty. David did his best to reassure him, balancing bedtime stories and playtime with the demands of his work and Emma's care. Adding to their stress, the adoption process with Lucas encountered unforeseen complications. A distant relative of Lucas emerged, contesting the adoption and claiming custody rights. Legal battles ensued, and the fear of losing their son loomed over their every moment. The once straightforward path to parenthood now seemed fraught with obstacles at every turn. David and Emma found themselves navigating these trials with a mix of resilience and exhaustion. The tension in their relationship grew as they grappled with their fears and frustrations. Emma's feelings of inadequacy resurfaced, compounded by her physical limitations and the looming threat to Lucas's adoption. David, while trying to be the pillar of strength, struggled with his own fears of losing the family they had fought so hard to create. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, David returned home to find Emma in tears. She sat on the edge of the bed, her hands cradling her growing belly. "What if we lose the baby, David? What if we lose Lucas?" Her voice trembled with fear and sorrow. David knelt beside her, his heart aching. "We won't lose them, Emma," he said, though his own voice betrayed a hint of doubt. "We've come too far to give up now. We have to hold on to our faith and each other." Their prayers became more fervent, their reliance on their faith more pronounced. They sought solace in their church, leaning heavily on the support of Tom, the pastor, and their friends. Margaret moved in temporarily to help care for Emma and Lucas, offering her unwavering support and love. The community of Maplewood, always a beacon of support, rallied around them. Jane and Mark organized meals and childcare, easing some of the burdens on David. The women's group met regularly to pray for Emma and the baby, their collective faith a source of strength. Despite the overwhelming support, the strain on David and Emma's relationship was undeniable. Arguments flared over small things, fueled by stress and fear. David's long hours and the pressure of his duties left him exhausted and short-tempered. Emma, feeling trapped and helpless, often lashed out in frustration. One night, after a particularly heated argument, David left the house, needing to clear his head. He walked aimlessly through the village, his thoughts a tumult of worry and anger. Finding himself at the church, he sat in one of the pews, the quiet sanctuary offering a moment of respite. Tom found him there, shoulders slumped, head in his hands. "David, it's okay to feel overwhelmed," he said gently, sitting beside him. You're carrying a heavy load, and it's natural to struggle." David looked up, tears in his eyes. "I'm scared, Tom. Scared of losing everything we fought for, of failing Emma and Lucas." Tom placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Fear is a part of the journey, but so is faith. Remember, you're not alone in this. Lean on your faith, your community, and most importantly, on Emma. You're stronger together." Meanwhile, Emma faced her own battles. Confined to bed rest, she had ample time to confront her fears and doubts. She often lay awake at night, her mind racing with what-ifs. One particularly restless night, she picked up her journal, a habit she had abandoned amidst the chaos. As she wrote, she poured out her fears, frustrations and hopes, finding a measure of clarity and peace in the process. Emma's journal became a lifeline, a way to process her emotions and reconnect with her faith. She began to write letters to her unborn child and to Lucas, expressing her love and dreams for them. These letters, filled with raw emotion and unwavering love, became a testament to her resilience and hope. As the weeks passed, small rays of hope began to pierce through the clouds of doubt. Emma's pregnancy stabilized, and the threat of preterm labor lessened. Lucas's adoption case, though still ongoing, showed signs of a positive resolution. The community's prayers and support continued to bolster their spirits, reminding them of the strength found in unity and faith. One Sunday, during a special prayer service for their family, Emma felt a renewed sense of peace. Surrounded by the love and prayers of their friends and neighbors, she realized that their journey, though fraught with trials, was also filled with blessings. The challenges they faced were shaping them into stronger, more compassionate individuals. David, too, found solace in the community's unwavering support. He began to open up more, sharing his fears and struggles with Tom and Mark. These conversations, often held in the quiet moments after church, provided a safe space for him to express his emotions and find renewed strength. The turning point came when they received a call from Grace, the social worker. The court had ruled in their favor, granting them full custody of Lucas. The news brought tears of relief and joy, a weight lifted from their shoulders. That evening, they celebrated quietly, holding Lucas close and thanking God for this precious gift. As Emma's due date approached, the sense of cautious optimism grew. They prepared for the arrival of their new baby, their hearts filled with a mix of anticipation and gratitude. The nursery, once a place of sorrow, was now a symbol of hope and new beginnings. In the final weeks of Emma's pregnancy, David took a leave of absence from work to be by her side. They spent their days in quiet reflection, cherishing the moments with Lucas and preparing for the new addition to their family. The support from their community remained steadfast, a constant source of strength and encouragement. The night Emma went into labor was both terrifying and exhilarating. David held her hand, whispering words of love and encouragement as they made their way to the hospital. The hours that followed were a blur of pain, fear, and anticipation. But when the cries of their newborn daughter filled the room, all their struggles seemed to melt away. Holding their baby girl in his arms, David felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and awe. Emma, exhausted but radiant, looked at him with tears of joy. "We did it, David," she whispered. "We made it through." Their daughter, whom they named Grace in honor of the social worker who had helped them so much, was a symbol of their journey, one marked by trials and tribulations, but ultimately filled with hope and love. As they brought Grace home, they knew that their family, forged through faith and resilience, was stronger than ever. In the heart of Maplewood, surrounded by their community, David and Emma embraced their new life as parents to Lucas and Grace. Their story, a testament to the power of perseverance and the strength of faith, inspired those around them. They had faced their trials and emerged stronger, ready to face whatever the future held, united in their love and their unwavering hope. Chapter 9. The Breaking Point. The months following Grace's birth were a whirlwind of joy and exhaustion. Emma and David juggled the demands of their new life with 2 children, each moment filled with a mixture of love, fatigue, and the ever-present undercurrent of anxiety. As much as they cherished their growing family, the stress of the past years had left deep scars. One chilly evening in late autumn, the stress reached a boiling point. David had been working late shifts to make up for the time he had taken off, and Emma, despite her best efforts, was struggling to manage the household and care for the children. The exhaustion and pressure wore on both of them, straining their patience and understanding. It began with a small, seemingly inconsequential disagreement. David had forgotten to pick up some groceries on his way home, leaving Emma feeling overwhelmed and unsupported. "I asked you to do one thing, David," Emma said, her voice trembling with frustration as she tried to calm a fussy Grace while Lucas clung to her leg. David, equally exhausted and frustrated, snapped back. "I've been working all day, Emma. Do you think I enjoy coming home to more demands? I'm doing the best I can." The argument quickly escalated, their words fueled by months of unspoken fears and unresolved tensions. "You're never here," Emma cried. "I feel like I'm doing this alone. You have no idea how hard it is." David's face darkened, his own pent-up emotions spilling over. "And you think it's easy for me? I'm trying to provide for this family to keep us afloat. Do you think I don't feel the weight of all this too?" Their voices grew louder, echoing through the small house. Lucas, sensing the tension, began to cry, adding to the chaos. Grace wailed in Emma's arms, her cries a piercing reminder of their overwhelming reality. The cacophony of sounds and emotions created a storm that felt unstoppable. In a moment of sheer desperation and anger, David shouted, "Maybe it would have been better if we hadn't gone through all this. Maybe we weren't meant to have children." The words hung in the air, heavy and devastating. Emma's face went pale, and she took a step back, clutching Grace to her chest. "How can you say that?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "After everything we've been through. How can you?" Realizing the gravity of his words, David's anger dissipated, replaced by a crushing guilt. "Emma, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry," he said, his voice trembling with regret. But the damage was done. Emma turned away, tears streaming down her face, and walked into the nursery, closing the door behind her. David stood in the living room, the weight of his outburst sinking in. He could hear Emma's muffled sobs through the door, and Lucas's crying beside him only added to his despair. He felt like he was drowning, unable to find a way to make things right. The next few days were a painful blur. Emma and David barely spoke, their home filled with a tense silence. They went through the motions of daily life, caring for the children and managing the household, but the emotional distance between them was palpable. The love that had once been their strength now seemed fragile and uncertain. Their friends and neighbours noticed the change. Margaret, sensing the depth of their struggle, tried to intervene, offering to take the children for a few hours so they could talk. Jane and Mark reached out, their concern evident in their eyes. But David and Emma, caught in their own turmoil, found it difficult to accept help. One evening, Tom visited them, his presence a comforting reminder of their community's support. He sat with them in the living room, the tension in the air almost tangible. "David, Emma," he began gently, "I know things are incredibly hard right now, but you're not alone. You have each other, and you have all of us. We're here to help you through this." David looked at Tom, his eyes filled with regret. "I've said things I can't take back, Tom. I've hurt Emma deeply." Emma, sitting across from David, spoke softly. "We've both said things. We're both hurting. I don't know how to move past this." Tom nodded, his expression understanding. "Healing takes time, and it takes effort from both of you. You've been through so much together, and you've shown incredible strength. This is another trial, but it's not insurmountable. Lean on your faith, and lean on each other." After Tom left, David and Emma sat in silence for a long time. Finally, David spoke, his voice raw with emotion. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I was angry and scared, and I said things I didn't mean. I love you and I love our children. I don't want to lose what we have." Emma looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared too, David. I feel like we've been fighting for so long, and I'm so tired. But I love you, and I want to find a way through this together." In that moment, they both realized that their love, though strained, was still the foundation of their lives. They needed to rebuild, to find a way to heal from the hurt and rediscover their connection. They decided to seek counseling, recognizing that they needed help to navigate their emotions and rebuild their relationship. With the support of their community, they found a therapist who understood the unique pressures they faced. The sessions were challenging, forcing them to confront their deepest fears and insecurities, but they also provided a path to healing. David and Emma began to communicate more openly, sharing their feelings and listening to each other without judgment. They made a conscious effort to spend quality time together, rekindling the bond that had drawn them together in the first place. Slowly the wounds began to heal, and the distance between them lessened. The community of Maplewood continued to offer their unwavering support. Margaret, Jane, Mark, and Tom all played crucial roles in helping David and Emma navigate this difficult time. Their friends and neighbors provided childcare, cooked meals, and offered a listening ear whenever needed. Through the trials and tribulations, David and Emma discovered a renewed strength in their love and faith. They learned that true resilience came from facing their challenges together, and that even in the darkest times, hope and love could prevail. As winter turned to spring, they emerged from their struggle with a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. Their journey had been marked by heartbreak and healing, but it had also brought them closer than ever before. With Lucas and Grace by their side, they looked forward to the future, knowing that they could face whatever came their way, united in their love and fortified by their faith. Chapter 10. Healing and Acceptance. Spring in Maplewood brought with it a sense of renewal and hope. The snow melted away, revealing the vibrant greens and budding flowers that signaled the arrival of a new season. For David and Emma, this transformation mirrored their own journey of healing and acceptance. After the intense trials and emotional breaking points they had faced, they were ready to rebuild their lives with a newfound understanding and commitment. The first step in their healing process was to acknowledge the depth of their pain and the impact it had on their relationship. With the help of their therapist, they began to unpack their feelings of inadequacy, fear, and resentment. These sessions were often difficult, bringing tears and raw emotions to the surface, but they were essential in helping David and Emma confront their inner demons and start the process of forgiveness. David found solace in his renewed faith. He started attending a men's Bible study group organized by Tom, the pastor. These weekly meetings provided a space for him to share his struggles and gain strength from the collective wisdom of the group. The support and camaraderie he found there reminded him that he was not alone, and that leaning on his faith and community was not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Emma, too, sought comfort and purpose in the church. She resumed her involvement with the women's group, finding joy in their community service projects. She also started teaching Sunday school, discovering a deep sense of fulfillment in nurturing the spiritual growth of the village's children. This role gave her a new sense of purpose and allowed her to channel her love and compassion into meaningful work. Together, David and Emma made a conscious effort to reconnect and rekindle their love. They set aside time each week for date nights, even if it was just a quiet dinner at home after the children were asleep. They rediscovered the joy of simple pleasures, walking hand in hand through the village, sharing stories from their day, and laughing together over small, silly things. One sunny Saturday, they decided to take Lucas and Grace to the village fair. The fair, a beloved Maplewood tradition, was a lively event filled with games, food stalls, and music. As they strolled through the fairgrounds, watching Lucas's eyes light up with excitement and Grace's giggles of delight, David and Emma felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life they were building together. Their involvement in community activities also played a crucial role in their healing. David began coaching the village's Little League baseball team, finding joy in mentoring the young players and sharing his love for the sport. Emma, inspired by her own journey of self-discovery, started a support group for women dealing with infertility and adoption challenges. This group provided a safe space for women to share their stories, offer support, and find strength in each other's experiences. Through these activities, David and Emma not only strengthened their own bond, but also deepened their connection with the community. They realized that their struggles and triumphs were part of a larger tapestry of life in Maplewood, and that their experiences could offer hope and inspiration to others. As they continued to heal, they also made a concerted effort to strengthen their family unit. They spent quality time with Lucas and Grace, creating cherished memories and reinforcing the love that bound them together. Family picnics, bedtime stories, and simple moments of play became the foundation of their new life, each moment a testament to their resilience and love. Their journey of healing was not without its setbacks. There were days when the weight of their past struggles resurfaced, bringing moments of doubt and sadness. But David and Emma had learned to navigate these challenges with grace and patience, leaning on each other and their faith to guide them through. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Emma turned to David, her eyes reflecting the peace she felt. "I've realized something important, David," she said softly. "Our journey wasn't just about becoming parents. It was about finding strength in each other and in ourselves. It was about learning to trust in God's plan, even when we couldn't see the path ahead." David nodded, his heart swelling with love and admiration for his wife. "You're right, Emma. We've been through so much, but it's brought us closer together. I'm so grateful for you, for our family, and for this community. We've truly been blessed." Their acceptance of their situation and the growth they experienced as individuals and as a couple became a beacon of hope for those around them. Friends and neighbors marveled at their resilience and the love that shone through their every interaction. David and Emma's story became a testament to the power of faith, love, and community. In the heart of Maplewood, surrounded by the people who had supported them through their darkest times, David and Emma found a renewed sense of purpose and joy. They had learned that true healing came from embracing their journey, with all its trials and tribulations, and finding strength in the love they shared. As they looked toward the future, they did so with open hearts and unwavering faith, ready to face whatever came their way, knowing that together they could overcome any obstacle. Their journey had taught them that acceptance was not about giving up, but about finding peace and gratitude in the life they had built, and in the love that would carry them forward. Chapter 11. A New Perspective. With the arrival of spring and the passing of time, David and Emma's life began to take on a new rhythm, one marked by a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment. Their journey through hardship had given them a fresh perspective, and they embraced this new chapter with open hearts and a renewed sense of purpose. David found immense satisfaction in his role as a mentor to the village's youth. His involvement with the Little League baseball team became a cornerstone of his life. Every Saturday, he would gather the children at the local park, teaching them not only the fundamentals of the game, but also the values of teamwork, perseverance, and fair play. The laughter and excitement of the young players were infectious, and David's own spirits were lifted by their enthusiasm. One particularly memorable day, the team won their first championship game. The children's cheers filled the air, and David's heart swelled with pride. He looked over at the sidelines to see Emma, Lucas, and Grace clapping and cheering along with the rest of the community. It was a moment of pure joy, a testament to the positive impact he was making. Emma, too, found new avenues for fulfillment. Her support group for women dealing with infertility and adoption challenges grew into a vital resource for many in Maplewood and the surrounding areas. The group met weekly in the church basement, where they shared their stories, offered support, and found strength in their shared experiences. Emma's empathy and understanding created a safe haven for these women, and she found deep satisfaction in helping others navigate the same difficult path she had walked. In addition to her support group, Emma became involved in various community service projects. She organized a reading program at the local library, where she and other volunteers read to children and helped them develop a love for books. The The children's eager faces and the joy of sharing stories brought Emma a profound sense of happiness. The couple's renewed commitment to their faith played a significant role in their journey of healing and fulfillment. They attended church regularly, finding comfort and inspiration in the sermons and the support of their community. Tom's teachings about faith, resilience, and the importance of service resonated deeply with them, reinforcing their commitment to live lives of purpose and compassion. One Sunday, after a particularly moving sermon about the power of community and the importance of giving back, David and Emma decided to embark on a new project together. They approached Tom with the idea of starting a community garden, a place where villagers could come together to grow fresh produce, share knowledge, and build stronger connections. Tom was enthusiastic about the idea, and with his support, David and Emma set about organizing the project. They secured a plot of land near the church and enlisted the help of volunteers from the community. Over the next few months, the garden began to take shape. Neighbors donated seeds and tools, and families came together to plant and tend the crops. The community garden became a symbol of renewal and growth, much like David and Emma's own journey. It brought people together, fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose. Every Saturday, villagers gathered to work in the garden, exchanging stories and laughter as they nurtured the plants. The garden flourished, producing an abundance of vegetables and herbs that were shared among the community. David and Emma found immense joy in their work on the garden. It was a tangible representation of their new perspective, one that embraced the beauty of growth and the importance of community. They spent countless hours working side by side, their hands in the soil and their hearts full of gratitude. The garden became a place of healing and connection, not just for them, but for everyone involved. Their children, Lucas and Grace, also thrived in this environment of love and community. Lucas, now old enough to help in the garden, took great pride in planting seeds and watching them grow. Grace, toddling around with a small watering can, brought smiles to everyone's faces with her innocent delight. The garden was a place where the entire family could bond and create lasting memories. As David and Emma continued to immerse themselves in these community activities, they discovered a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. They realized that their lives were enriched not just by their personal achievements, but by the connections they made and the impact they had on others. Their faith, which had been their anchor through the storm, now propelled them forward, guiding them to live lives of service and compassion. One evening, after a long day working in the garden, David and Emma sat on their porch watching the sunset. The sky was painted with hues of pink and orange, a beautiful reminder of the day's end and the promise of a new beginning. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" David said, his voice filled with contentment. Emma nodded, her eyes reflecting the same sense of peace. "Yes, we have, and I'm grateful for every step of the journey. It's made us who we are today." David reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emma. You've been my strength, my inspiration." Emma smiled, her heart full. "And you've been mine, David. We've faced so much, but we've come out stronger. And look at what we've built, a life filled with love, community, and purpose." As they sat there, enveloped in the beauty of the evening and the warmth of each other's presence, David and Emma felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Their journey had not been easy, but it had led them to a place of deep joy and connection. They had found a new perspective, one that celebrated the power of faith, the importance of community, and the beauty of living a life of purpose and love. In the heart of Maplewood, surrounded by the people they loved and the community they cherished, David and Emma looked forward to the future with hope and gratitude. Their story was a testament to the transformative power of resilience, faith, and the unwavering support of those around them. Together they embraced each new day, ready to face whatever challenges and joys lay ahead, united in their love and strengthened by their journey. Chapter 12. The Unexpected Miracle. The adoption process had been long and rigorous, but when David and Emma finally held Lucas in their arms for the first time, it felt like all the waiting and uncertainty had been worth it. Lucas, a bright-eyed toddler with a shy smile, immediately stole their hearts. His arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, one filled with the joy and fulfillment they had longed for. The community of Maplewood welcomed Lucas with open arms. Friends and neighbors organized a celebratory gathering at the church, filling the space with laughter, music, and well wishes. The church was decorated with balloons and streamers, and tables were laden with homemade treats. Children ran around playing, their laughter a joyful soundtrack to the festivities. Margaret, Emma's mother, was especially overjoyed. She doted on her new grandson, her face beaming with pride and happiness. "He's perfect," she whispered to Emma, holding Lucas close. "I'm so happy for you both." Jane and Mark, along with their children, were there to celebrate as well. Jane, with tears of joy in her eyes, hugged Emma tightly. "You're a family now," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Lucas is so lucky to have you." The celebration reinforced David and Emma's sense of belonging and support. They had always known that the community was behind them, but seeing the outpouring of love and joy for Lucas's arrival was a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of their village. As they settled into their new roles as parents, David and Emma found immense joy in the everyday moments with Lucas. His laughter filled their home, his curiosity and energy bringing a new sense of life and vitality. They cherished the simple pleasures of reading bedtime stories, playing in the garden, and watching Lucas grow and discover the world around him. Just when they thought their hearts couldn't be fuller, the unexpected happened. A few months after Lucas's adoption, Emma began to feel unwell. She dismissed it as the stress and exhaustion of motherhood, but David insisted she see Dr. Williams. The news they received was nothing short of miraculous. "Emma, you're pregnant," Dr. Williams announced, his eyes twinkling with joy. Emma and David were stunned. Tears of disbelief and happiness filled their eyes as they embraced, the realization of this new blessing sinking in. After years of struggle and heartache, they were now on the verge of welcoming another child into their family. The months that followed were a whirlwind of joy and anticipation. Emma's pregnancy progressed smoothly, and each doctor's visit brought more good news. The community rallied around them once again, offering support and celebrating this new miracle. Margaret moved in temporarily to help with Lucas and to prepare for the new baby's arrival. Jane organized a baby shower, and the women's group showered Emma with love and gifts. The church held special prayer services, giving thanks for the blessings that had come into David and Emma's lives. As Emma's due date approached, the excitement in their home was palpable. Lucas, now a beloved member of the family, was eager to meet his new sibling. He would place his tiny hands on Emma's growing belly, giggling as he felt the baby move. David, filled with a mix of awe and gratitude, often found himself watching his family with a heart full of love. The night Emma went into labor was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. David stayed by her side, holding her hand and offering words of encouragement as they made their way to the hospital. The hours that followed were intense, but when their daughter, Lily, was finally born, all the pain and anxiety melted away. Holding Lily in his arms, David felt a profound sense of completeness. She was a tiny, perfect miracle, and her presence filled their hearts with an overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude. Emma, exhausted but radiant, looked at David with tears of happiness in her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "Our family is complete." Bringing Lily home was a moment of pure bliss. The house, once quiet and filled with longing, was now alive with the sounds of children's laughter and the tender coos of a newborn. Lucas, ever the doting big brother, was fascinated by his baby sister, always wanting to help and be close to her. The community of Maplewood shared in their joy. Friends and neighbors visited to offer congratulations and bring gifts. The church held a special service to welcome Lily, thanking God for the blessings bestowed upon the family. The village, with its unwavering faith and support, had played a crucial role in David and Emma's journey, illustrating the power of hope and perseverance. In the months that followed, David and Emma found peace and happiness in their new life. They embraced their roles as parents, cherishing each moment with Lucas and Lily. Their home, once filled with silence and sorrow, was now a haven of love and laughter. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but their faith and the support of their community had carried them through. As they sat together one evening, watching Lucas and Lily play on the living room floor, Emma leaned into David, her heart full. "We're so lucky," she said softly. "We've been through so much, but we've come out stronger and more blessed than we ever could have imagined." David nodded, his eyes reflecting the same sense of contentment. "Yes, we are," he agreed. "We truly are." In the heart of Maplewood, surrounded by their community and the family they had always dreamed of, David and Emma found a sense of fulfillment and peace that surpassed their wildest dreams. Their journey, marked by trials and miracles, was a testament to the power of faith, love, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. They looked forward to the future with hope and gratitude, ready to face whatever came their way, united in their love and strengthened by their faith.